Last year I showed you guys how to make the easiest crocheted top out of a simple rectangle. Well, I took my own advice and added a trendy checkered twist to create this high contrast lace-up tube top. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this checkered print stitch, including how to change color without having to cut your yarn. Yay! And we'll brush up on all the stats and measurements that you'll need to turn this simple stitch into a crochet top. So to work this checkered print stitch, you'll need 3 different colors of yarn. I used these various DK weights from Ice Yarns and a 4mm hook. The foundation chain for this pattern needs to be a multiple of 8 plus 6. And for a tube top, I recommend at least 6 inches as a starting width, but you can make your top as wide as you'd like or as your boobies require. The starting chain establishes the width of your tube top. So to begin, we're going to skip the first 3 chains and work 1 double crochet into the 4th chain from your hook. The skipped 3 chains counts as a double crochet, so you now have 2 double crochets for your first checker. Each checker square will have 4 double crochets, so make 2 more, 1 in each of the next 2 chains. Next, you're going to chain 4 and skip 4 chains from the foundation chain. And work 1 double crochet into the next chain, the 5th one from where your last double crochet was. I like to hold onto that loop on my hook to work the double crochet after the chain 4. Now we've got a blank square for our next row of checkers, and I'm going to complete my current black checker by working 3 more double crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 chains. Continue like this, chain 4, skip 4, work 4 double crochets, all the way to the end of your foundation chain. And you'll end with a solid square, working that last double crochet into the last foundation chain. Next, it's time to add your second color. You can just grab the new yarn and pull it through the loop on your hook. Pull the old color tight, chain 1, and turn your work. Now in the new color, we're going to work 1 single crochet into that first stitch from the previous row. For this row, we're going to start with an empty block. To do that, you'll chain 3, and we'll work a double crochet not into that chain 4 from the previous row, but into the chains of the foundation chain. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into that first foundation chain available. And when I go to complete the double crochet, my working yarn is going to wrap around the previous row's chain 4, smushing it down and incorporating it into this current block that I'm working. So again, work a double crochet into the next foundation chain. Continue until you've worked a 4 double crochet checker in the new color, working into the foundation chains, burying the chain 4 under your stitches as you go. We're going to chain 4 to bridge the next block, and when I come to this empty block, I'm going to do the same thing, working 4 double crochets into the foundation chains and crocheting around the chain 4 from the previous row. Continue like this to the end of the row, and when you reach the end, we're going to match what we did at the beginning of the row. So chain 3 and make 1 single crochet into the top of your starting chain 3. Now it's time to add the third color, and I'm actually going to undo that last single crochet just to the point where I have 2 loops on my hook. And instead, I'll complete the single crochet with the new color. Now I need to chain up 3 in the new color, but I want to show you how to carry the old color up along the side so that we don't have to cut our yarn when we want to change color in the future. To do this, bring the old yarn over the new yarn to the front to chain 2. Then bring the old yarn to the back and chain 3. Now we've carried the old yarn up the chain 3, so it's ready to use later. And that chain 3 in the new color counts as the first double crochet of your first new checker. So turn your work, and we're going to work 3 more double crochets into the stitches of that solid block below from 2 rows ago. So skip that first chain 3, and into the first true stitch work a double crochet. Again, trapping the chain from your previous row under the stitches as you work. So there's your first solid block. We'll chain 4, skip the next block, and work 4 double crochets across the next block. So this pattern is essentially a 2-row repeat, one that starts with a solid block and one that starts with an empty block. And the color changes are very obvious from now on. You'll simply start the next row with the first color available. I've come to the end of this row and we've got our little single crochet from the previous row. So go ahead and work 1 double crochet into that stitch. But we've got colors to carry up, don't we? So before you complete your double crochet, bring the old yarn to the back over the new yarn. Then in the new yarn, yarn over and pull through 2. Then bring the old yarn to the front, over the new yarn, yarn over, pull through 2, to complete your last double crochet. The next row will start with this yarn right here. So bring it through the loop on your hook and tighten it up. Chain 1 and turn. And we're going to work a single crochet into the first stitch of the row. You can probably tell now that this is an empty block starting row, so chain 3, skip 3, and work 4 double crochets across each of the next 4 stitches, working around the chain 4 from the previous row. And that's the basics of this 2-row repeat. Now that I've worked a bit more on my piece, I can focus in on the ends of rows and color changes for you guys because I think that's the toughest part. So on the chain 3 edge, old yarn to the front, chain 1, old yarn to the back, chain 2, old color to the front, and chain 3. Officially carried up the side. Now in the new color you can begin a solid block starting row. And you'll end this row by working a double crochet into the last single crochet stitch. Carrying the next color up as you complete that stitch. Pull through the new color, tighten it up, and I forgot to chain 1 here, but you can chain 1 and turn, and work a single crochet into the very first stitch. And begin an empty block starting row by chaining 3. So that's how you do this cute checkered print stitch that you can use in a multitude of patterns. But we're making a tube top today, right? So let's talk about how long your piece should be. I made this handy chart because the rectangle length will scale up with both chest circumference and cup size. I'll link to this chart down below for you to reference whenever you like, but the number that matches your desired measurement on the screen is the length that you'll be working towards with this pattern. So once you've got your rectangle length, it's time to do the final row and get rid of those last empty blocks. A bit of a bind off, if you will. On your last row that starts with a solid block, rather than chaining 4, you're going to slip stitch across the next block from the previous row. Then you can continue working solid blocks over each of the available chain 4 spaces. And just any time where you would have previously chained 4, just slip stitch 4 instead. And here's my little checkered tube top. All that's left is to lace it up. And I've got a trusty hoodie drawstring here, which came out in the wash, and I thought it matched the sporty vibes of this top, but you could crochet a cord as well. And I'm just going to thread it up like a shoelace, inserting my cord just behind the first stitch of each block on the edge. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this really bold stitch, and tag me on Instagram if you use it in a tube top or anything else, because I'd love to see it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!
You're so cute.